Don't compare yourself to anyone. 1. Why we compare ourselves. Comparing ourselves to others is something almost everyone does, often without even realizing it. It's a natural part of being human, deeply rooted in the way our minds are wired to understand the world and our place in it. From a young age, we begin to look around us, to classmates, siblings, friends, or people on social media, and we start measuring ourselves based on what we see, how we look, what we have, what we can do, or how successful we seem compared to others. This tendency to compare isn't always negative. In fact, it's a part of how we learn. As children, we compare our behavior to adults or older kids to figure out how to act. As students or professionals, we look at the achievements of others to understand what's possible or what's expected. In many ways, comparison can inspire us to grow, to improve, and to set goals. It gives us reference points and helps us make sense of abstract ideas like success, beauty, intelligence, or progress. However, comparison can also become a source of stress, insecurity, and self-doubt, especially when we use it not to learn from others, but to judge ourselves harshly. One reason this happens is because we often compare our inner world, our thoughts, fears, struggles, and insecurities, with someone else's outer world, which is usually what they choose to show us. On social media, for example, we see the highlights of someone's life, their achievements, their vacations, their celebrations. But we rarely see their failures, their hard days, or their private battles. This creates an unfair comparison where we feel like we're not measuring up, even though we don't have the full picture. We forget that everyone has challenges, and what looks like perfection from the outside is often far more complicated on the inside. Another reason we compare ourselves is because we're looking for a sense of identity and value. We want to know, am I doing okay? Am I enough? Do I matter? And one of the easiest ways to try to answer those questions is by looking at where we stand in relation to others. But the problem is, this kind of comparison often ties our self-worth to constantly shifting standards. If we feel better only when we're doing better than someone else, then our sense of confidence becomes fragile. It can disappear the moment we see someone who seems to be ahead of us. We start chasing someone else's version of success, instead of defining our own. And when this cycle continues, it can lead to burnout, anxiety, and a loss of joy in our own unique journey. Yet, despite its challenges, comparison can be a powerful tool when we use it with awareness and self-compassion. Instead of asking, "Why am I not as good as them?" we can ask, "What can I learn from them?" Or, "What about their path speaks to something I want in my own life?" This shift changes comparison from a source of pain into a source of insight. It becomes less about competition and more about inspiration. It helps us see possibilities, learn strategies, and appreciate different ways of thinking or living. We begin to admire others without diminishing ourselves, and we can celebrate someone else's success while still valuing our own unique pace and progress. It's also helpful to remember that everyone's path is different. We all have different backgrounds, experiences, challenges, and timelines. Just because someone is ahead in one area doesn't mean they're ahead in everything, or that their life is more meaningful than yours. You might be growing in ways that aren't immediately visible, such as building resilience, developing emotional intelligence, or discovering who you really are. These kinds of growth often take time and aren't easy to measure, but they are just as valuable, if not more, than external achievements. To move away from harmful comparison, it's important to focus on your own journey. Set goals that reflect your values, not just what's popular or praised by others. Track your progress over time, not by looking at what others are doing, but by asking, am I growing? Am I learning? Am I becoming a better version of myself than I was yesterday? When you compare yourself to your past self instead of to others, you begin to see your progress in a much more honest and encouraging light. In the end, we compare ourselves because we're trying to understand our worth, our direction, and our potential. That's a deeply human instinct, and it's okay. But true growth comes not from trying to be better than others, but from trying to be better for yourself. You are not behind. You are on your own timeline. And when you honor your journey, stay true to your values, and find inspiration without judgment, comparison no longer controls you. Instead, it becomes something you can learn from, something that guides you gently forward, rather than pulling you painfully back. 2. The root of comparison. The root of comparison lies deep within our human nature. It begins with our desire to understand who we are and where we belong. From the moment we become aware of ourselves, we start to look outward for reference points. We observe others, how they look, what they have, what they've achieved, and we instinctively start measuring ourselves against them. This behavior isn't necessarily a flaw, it's actually rooted in how the human brain processes information. We learn through observation, imitation, and contrast. For example, as children, we learn how to behave by watching those around us, and we understand concepts like tall or fast by comparing ourselves with others. These kinds of comparisons help us form identity and gain direction. However, as we grow older, this same instinct becomes more complex and emotionally loaded. We don't just compare physical traits or abilities, we begin to compare our worth, our progress, our success, and our happiness. And that's where comparison can begin to hurt us. The root of unhealthy comparison often grows from feelings of insecurity or doubt. Times when we're unsure if we're doing enough, if we're good enough, or if we're moving in the right direction. Instead of looking inward for assurance or reflecting on our personal growth, we look outward for validation. Or we scan the lives of others and use their achievements, appearance, lifestyle, or personality as silent judges of our own. Social media has only intensified this tendency, exposing us to a carefully curated world where people share their best moments and filter out their struggles. This creates a distorted reality where it seems like everyone else is thriving while we're the only ones who feel uncertain or left behind. But what we don't see are the fears behind their smiles, the pressure behind their success, and the effort behind their accomplishments. Comparison based on incomplete information will always be misleading. Another root cause of comparison is the fear of not being seen, valued, or accepted. In many cultures and societies, we are taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, that our worth is tied to how we perform, how much we achieve, or how attractive we appear. This pressure creates an internal scoreboard where we keep track of how we're doing based on the people around us. Are we successful enough? Are we smart enough? Are we attractive enough? The word enough becomes a trap because it always depends on someone else's standard. And when we chase after someone else's version of enough, we lose touch with what truly matters to us personally. We forget that we each have different strengths, goals, timelines, and purposes. It's also important to recognize that comparison is often rooted in a scarcity mindset. The belief that there's only so much success, love, beauty, or happiness to go around. When we see someone else succeed, we might feel like we're falling behind or missing out, even if their path has nothing to do with ours. But life isn't a race or a competition with limited rewards. Someone else's achievements don't take away from your own potential. In fact, their success can serve as proof of what's possible, not a threat, but a reminder that you, too, can grow in your own way, in your own time. To truly understand and heal the root of comparison, we must learn to reconnect with ourselves. That means asking deeper questions. What do I really value? What kind of life do I want to live? What makes me feel alive and fulfilled? When you start defining success on your own terms and measuring progress based on your own growth, comparison loses its grip. You begin to see others not as competition, but as companions on different journeys. You can admire them without envying them, and you can celebrate their wins without feeling like you're losing. Ultimately, the root of comparison is a longing to be seen, to matter, and to feel that we're enough just as we are. And the answer to that longing doesn't come from looking at others. It comes from within. It grows when you start trusting your journey, embracing your pace, honoring your values, and recognizing your unique strengths. You are not here to be someone else. You are here to be you, and that is more than enough. 3. The illusion of perfection. The illusion of perfection is a powerful and often misleading force that affects how we see ourselves, others, and the world around us. It creates an unrealistic standard that suggests everything must be flawless. Our appearance, achievements, relationships, and even our thoughts and feelings, if we want to be accepted, respected, or happy. This illusion is everywhere, in carefully edited photos on social media, in stories of success that rarely mention the struggles behind them, in the polished images people present in public while hiding their doubts and fears. Because of this, it's easy to believe that perfection is both common and attainable, when in reality, it is an impossible ideal that no one can truly reach. Chasing perfection can trap us in a cycle of constant self-judgment and disappointment because there will always be something that falls short of the ideal we imagine. We compare ourselves to these unrealistic images and feel inadequate, as if we're failing simply because we don't measure up to something that doesn't exist outside of a carefully constructed illusion. The roots of this illusion often lie in societal pressures and cultural narratives that equate perfection with worthiness. From a young age, many of us are taught to strive for excellence, to get good grades, to succeed in our careers, to look a certain way, but these expectations can easily become distorted into a belief that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. Media and advertising reinforce this by constantly showing idealized versions of life that gloss over the messy, difficult, and imperfect realities everyone faces. Over time, we internalize these messages, and perfectionism becomes a way to try to control uncertainty and fear of failure. We think that if we can just be perfect, then we'll be safe from criticism, rejection, or disappointment. But instead of protection, perfectionism often leads to anxiety, procrastination, and a paralyzing fear of making mistakes, which are essential parts of growth and learning. Another reason the illusion of perfection is so damaging is that it prevents us from embracing authenticity. When we're obsessed with being perfect, we hide our true selves, suppress our vulnerabilities, and avoid situations where we might fail or look less than flawless. This not only isolates us from others, but also blocks genuine connection and self-acceptance. The reality is that everyone is imperfect. Everyone has flaws, makes mistakes, and faces setbacks. These imperfections are what make us human, relatable, and capable of growth. When we start to accept our imperfections, we free ourselves from the unrealistic pressure to be perfect and open the door to self-compassion and resilience. Moreover, perfection is subjective. What seems perfect to one person might be unimportant or irrelevant to another. Different cultures, communities, and individuals have diverse ideas about what is valuable or beautiful. Recognizing this helps us see that the perfect image we chase is often someone else's version of success or happiness, not necessarily ours. This insight encourages us to define our own standards based on what truly matters to us, rather than trying to fit into a narrow and unattainable mold. Breaking free from the illusion of perfection involves a gradual shift in mindset and habits. It requires embracing mistakes as opportunities to learn, valuing progress over flawlessness, and practicing kindness toward ourselves when things don't go as planned. It means recognizing that growth happens in the messy middle, not at some flawless finish line. By letting go of the need to be perfect, we open ourselves to more authentic experiences, deeper relationships, and a more joyful way of living. Ultimately, the illusion of perfection fades when we realize that imperfection is not a weakness, but a beautiful, essential part of life. One that connects us all and allows us to grow, love, and thrive exactly as we are. 4. The unique journey metaphor. Life can be beautifully understood through the metaphor of a unique journey, where each person walks their own winding path, filled with different landscapes, weather, and timing. This journey is not a straight road with a clear destination, nor is it meant to be identical to anyone else's. Just like no two people have the same fingerprints, no two life paths are ever truly the same. Some people may begin their journey with certain advantages, like resources, support, or confidence, while others may start on rocky ground, having to climb uphill with obstacles in their way. Some will reach certain milestones quickly, like career success, relationships, or personal growth, while others may take longer, pausing, detouring, or changing direction completely. But none of this means one journey is better than another. Every step, even the slow or difficult ones, contributes to your story, shaping who you are and building your strength, wisdom, and perspective. The unique journey metaphor reminds us that comparison is often unfair and unhelpful because we are all walking on different roads, facing different challenges, and moving at different paces. For instance, Imagine a hiker climbing a mountain path through thick fog. It might seem like they're not making progress, but they could be building resilience with every step. Meanwhile, another traveler might be walking on a sunny flat road, moving faster, but without encountering the same depth of experience or growth. This is why it's important to avoid judging your own progress based on someone else's highlight moments. What matters most is not how fast you're going or how far you've gone, but whether you are moving in alignment with your values, dreams, and truth. Your journey might involve setbacks, rest stops, or even complete reroutes, but every twist and turn has meaning. Sometimes what feels like a detour is actually guiding you toward something better than you imagined. Along your path, you'll meet fellow travelers, some who walk beside you for a short time, others who stay for many miles. You'll gather lessons, tools, and insights that shape how you walk forward. Some parts of the journey will be joyful and light, filled with clear skies and easy steps. Other parts will feel stormy, slow, or uncertain, requiring patience, inner strength, and trust. But each phase has its purpose. The dark valleys teach you resilience and empathy, while the high peaks give you perspective and gratitude. Even when you feel lost or stuck, remember that movement isn't always visible. Growth often happens quietly, deep beneath the surface, just like roots growing underground before a tree can bloom. This metaphor also reminds us to honor our own pace. Society often pressures us to achieve certain things by certain ages, as if life is a race. But real fulfillment comes not from rushing, but from being present with where you are. When you stop trying to keep up with others and start focusing on your own path, you begin to walk with more peace, purpose, and self-respect. You become more open to exploration, more forgiving of mistakes, and more trusting in the process. And when you walk your journey authentically, you give others permission to do the same. Ultimately, seeing life as a unique journey helps us appreciate that we are not behind, broken, or off track. We are simply walking a path that is ours alone. It may not look like anyone else's, and that's exactly how it's meant to be. Your journey is filled with lessons only you can learn, challenges only you can grow through, and moments of beauty only you will experience. So walk at your own pace, honor your story, and trust the unfolding of your path. Every step, no matter how small or uncertain, is part of something meaningful. You are not lost, you are becoming. 5. Social media and the comparison trap. Social media has become a powerful part of modern life, connecting us to people, ideas, and moments from all around the world. But hidden beneath its convenience and entertainment is a quiet, often harmful pattern called the comparison trap. This happens when we scroll through images, videos, or posts and unconsciously begin to measure our own lives against the carefully chosen highlights of others. On social media, people often share only their best moments. The celebrations, achievements, vacations, good hair days, happy relationships, and filtered smiles. Rarely do we see the full picture. The arguments, insecurities, failures, stress, or quiet loneliness behind the screen. And because we only see what others want us to see, it creates an illusion that their lives are perfect or at least much better than our own. This illusion becomes the trap, one where we start to feel like we're not enough, not successful enough, not attractive enough, or not doing life the right way. The comparison trap on social media can affect anyone, but it's especially powerful because of how our brains are wired. Human beings naturally compare themselves to others as a way to understand their own identity and value. But social media magnifies this tendency to an extreme level. Instead of comparing ourselves to a few people in our community, we're now comparing ourselves to hundreds or thousands of people from around the world, many of whom are influencers, celebrities, or professionals who spend hours curating their online presence. This makes the standards we compare ourselves to completely unrealistic. We begin to feel pressure to look flawless, to be constantly productive, to be always happy, or to live a picture-perfect life. Over time, this can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, body image issues, depression, and a feeling of never being good enough. One of the most dangerous things about this trap is that it happens silently. You may be scrolling for just a few minutes and suddenly feel discouraged, irritated, or sad without realizing why. It's subtle but powerful. Your mind starts to absorb the message that everyone else is doing better than you. You might start to doubt your progress, question your worth, or feel ashamed of where you are in life. This can create a cycle where you also begin to post only your highlights, fearing that if you show your real self, your struggles, your ordinary days, you won't be liked or accepted. In this way, everyone becomes caught in a loop of performance and perfection, further feeding the trap. However, social media isn't inherently bad. The key lies in how we use it. When approached with awareness and intention, it can be a space for inspiration, connection, and learning. To avoid falling into the comparison trap, it helps to remind yourself that what you see online is not the full story. Behind every perfect photo is a real person with insecurities, mistakes, and challenges, just like you. Curate your feed with care by following people who uplift you, who are honest about their journeys, and who share content that adds value to your life, not pressure. Take regular breaks from scrolling and reconnect with your real life, your own experiences, your own pace, your own voice. It's also helpful to practice gratitude and self-compassion. Focus on your personal growth, not someone else's timeline. Celebrate your small wins, your quiet efforts, your imperfect progress. When you feel the urge to compare, pause and ask yourself, is this helping me grow or hurting my peace? The truth is, the more time you spend looking at someone else's life, the less time you're living your own. You deserve to be present in your own journey, to find beauty in the ordinary, to define success on your own terms, and to love yourself even when life isn't filtered or flawless. In the end, social media is just a tool. It can be a window or a mirror. Let it reflect what matters to you, not distort your sense of self. Your worth is not defined by likes, followers, or someone else's highlight reel. It is found in your authenticity, your efforts, and the quiet courage it takes to be real in a world that rewards appearances. Break free from the comparison trap and return to what's real: your journey, your truth, your life. 6. Turning comparison into inspiration. Turning comparison into inspiration is about shifting your mindset from feeling less than to feeling motivated by others' successes, qualities, or progress. Comparison in itself is not always negative. It becomes harmful only when we use it as a weapon against our own worth. But if we look at others not with envy but with curiosity and openness, comparison can become a powerful tool for personal growth. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have what they have?" you can ask, "What can I learn from their journey?" This small shift in thinking can make a huge difference. For example, when you see someone achieving something you desire, whether it's a strong body, a fulfilling career, a peaceful mindset, or a meaningful relationship, you don't have to feel inferior or discouraged. You can choose to see it as evidence that what you want is possible. Their story can serve as a real-life example of where commitment, learning, or creativity can lead. It becomes a mirror showing you not what you're lacking, but what you're capable of reaching. This mindset shift starts by recognizing that you are on your own unique journey, with your own timeline, strengths, and challenges. Just because someone reached a milestone before you doesn't mean you're behind. It simply means their path had different conditions. Maybe they had more resources, more time, or just started earlier. That doesn't take away from your potential or your progress. In fact, when you admire someone, it often means they reflect a deeper desire within you. That spark of admiration is a signal. It tells you what you value, what matters to you, and where you might want to grow. Instead of pushing that feeling down or turning it into jealousy, use it as guidance. Ask yourself, what steps can I take today to move closer to that goal? What habits, mindsets, or skills could I begin to build? Suddenly, comparison isn't draining your energy. It's fueling it. Another powerful way to transform comparison into inspiration is to genuinely celebrate others. When you learn to admire someone's success without resentment, you expand your capacity for gratitude and connection. You realize there is room for everyone to thrive, and someone else's light doesn't dim your own. Their achievements don't reduce your worth. They reflect what is humanly possible. You can even reach out to those you admire, ask for advice, learn from their mistakes, or be inspired by their honesty. Behind every success is a story of effort, failure, learning, and persistence. When you dig deeper, you'll see that it didn't happen overnight or without struggle. That understanding makes it easier to be kind to yourself as you work toward your own dreams. Finally, remind yourself that the purpose of comparison should never be to judge yourself, but to guide yourself. Let it direct your focus, not define your value. Let it highlight what excites you, not what you lack. Let it awaken your potential, not overwhelm your peace. The truth is, you have your own strengths, your own voice, and your own journey. And when you walk it with intention and authenticity, you'll begin to inspire others too. So the next time you feel comparison creeping in, pause, breathe, and choose to use it differently. Turn it into a teacher. Turn it into energy. Turn it into inspiration that reminds you, if they can do it, I can grow too. In my own way, at my own pace, with my own power. 7. Building self-awareness and acceptance. Building self-awareness and acceptance is like gently turning on a light inside yourself so you can clearly see who you truly are, your thoughts, emotions, patterns, strengths, and even your flaws, with honesty and kindness. It's the foundation of personal growth, emotional well-being, and true confidence. Self-awareness means paying attention to what's happening inside you without judgment. It's the ability to notice your reactions, question your habits, understand your motivations, and recognize how your past experiences may influence your present behavior. For example, when you feel jealous, angry, anxious, or inadequate, instead of ignoring those feelings or pushing them away, self-awareness invites you to ask, why am I feeling this way? What triggered this emotion? What need or fear might be underneath it? This kind of reflection gives you a deeper understanding of yourself and helps you make wiser, more intentional choices rather than reacting on autopilot. But awareness alone is not enough, because simply seeing yourself clearly can sometimes lead to self-criticism. That's where acceptance becomes just as important. Acceptance means acknowledging all parts of yourself, even the uncomfortable or imperfect ones, without shame or harsh judgment. It doesn't mean you stop growing or give up on improvement. Instead, it means you stop trying to earn your worth by being perfect. You learn to say, "This is where I am right now, and that's okay. I can grow from here." Acceptance is about understanding that being human means being a mix of light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. Everyone struggles. Everyone has flaws. When you accept yourself, you stop fighting who you are and you start working with yourself, not against yourself. This creates inner peace and a stronger foundation for change, because growth rooted in self-love is far more sustainable than growth driven by self-rejection. Building self-awareness and acceptance takes time and practice. It can start with small habits, like journaling your thoughts, meditating, talking openly with a trusted friend, or simply taking a quiet moment during the day to check in with yourself. Ask yourself questions like, what am I feeling right now? Or, what do I need in this moment? Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns in your thinking and behavior, and you can explore where those patterns come from. This awareness gives you the power to break free from old stories or habits that no longer serve you. And as you accept yourself more fully, you'll feel less pressure to compare, prove, or pretend. You'll become more grounded, more authentic, and more compassionate, not only with yourself, but with others too. Ultimately, self-awareness and acceptance are acts of courage. They require you to face yourself honestly and love yourself despite what you find. But the reward is deep and lasting. A stronger sense of identity, clearer direction, healthier relationships, and the ability to live your life with more purpose and peace. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to feel at home in your own skin. And most importantly, you begin to realize that you are enough. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real, growing, and worthy just as you are. 8. Practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude is one of the most powerful and life-changing habits you can build. It's the simple act of noticing and appreciating the good in your life, even in the middle of difficulties. At its core, gratitude is about shifting your focus from what's missing to what's already here, from what's going wrong to what's going right, even in small ways. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect or ignoring your struggles. Instead, it means training your mind to see the full picture, to recognize that alongside the stress, pain, or frustration, there are also blessings, lessons, and moments of beauty. For example, even on a hard day, you might notice the warmth of sunlight through your window, the taste of a good meal, the comfort of a kind friend, or simply the fact that you're still here, still trying, still growing. These little moments, when acknowledged, can lift your mood, calm your mind, and reconnect you to the present moment. Practicing gratitude regularly helps rewire your brain to be more optimistic, resilient, and emotionally balanced. When you focus on what you're grateful for, your brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which can naturally improve your mental health and reduce anxiety or depression. Gratitude also helps you feel more content with your life. Even if everything isn't perfect, you stop constantly chasing what's next and instead start appreciating what already is. That shift in mindset can bring more peace, satisfaction, and joy into your everyday experience. It also improves relationships. When you express gratitude toward others, whether through a simple thank you, a kind message, or a thoughtful gesture, it strengthens connection and trust. People feel seen, valued, and appreciated, which deepens emotional bonds. There are many simple ways to practice gratitude. You can keep a gratitude journal where you write down 3 things you're thankful for each day, big or small. You can pause each morning or night to reflect on what went well. You can even speak your gratitude out, loud, during moments of stress, saying things like, "This is hard, but I'm grateful I have the strength to get through it." Or, "I'm struggling, but I'm thankful I'm not alone." These practices might feel small at first, but over time they add up and begin to reshape how you see the world. You'll start to find beauty in the ordinary, a quiet morning, a stranger's smile, a moment of laughter, and this opens your heart to a deeper sense of meaning and presence. Practicing gratitude also teaches you to be more compassionate with yourself. Instead of focusing on what you haven't done, you begin to acknowledge what you have done, your efforts, your progress, your courage to keep going. You become more forgiving of your flaws and more appreciative of your own growth. And when you combine gratitude with self-awareness and acceptance, you create a strong foundation for inner peace. Life will always have challenges, but gratitude gives you the strength to face them with a more open heart and hopeful spirit. It reminds you that even in the mess, even in uncertainty, there is still good, there is still light, and there is always something to be thankful for. Gratitude doesn't change what you have. It changes how you see what you have. And that perspective has the power to transform your entire life. 9. Real stories, letting go of comparison. Letting go of comparison is not something that happens overnight. It's a process, often sparked by a personal moment of exhaustion, awakening, or deep reflection. Many people who have truly found peace and confidence in themselves didn't do it by achieving more than others, but by learning to stop measuring their lives against someone else's. One real story comes from a woman named Sarah, who spent years silently comparing her life to her peers on social media. She saw friends getting married, buying homes, landing high-paying jobs, and traveling the world. Meanwhile, she was living in a small apartment, recovering from a breakup, and working at a job she didn't love. Every scroll made her feel more behind, more invisible, more like she was failing at life. One day, after spiraling into self-doubt from seeing yet another engagement post, she broke down in tears and asked herself, "Why do I feel so small? Why does their joy make me feel like I'm losing?" That moment of raw honesty changed everything. She realized she had been viewing life as a race, not a personal journey, and her worth had become tied to milestones that weren't even meaningful to her. So Sarah made a conscious choice. She unfollowed accounts that triggered comparison and began focusing on what she valued, not what society or her peers expected. She took time to rediscover what brought her joy and fulfillment. She began journaling, practicing gratitude, and setting goals based on her own passions. Over time, she stopped seeing other people's success as a threat and started seeing it as proof that good things were possible for everyone, including her. She even reached out to people she once envied and found that their lives, though beautiful in photos, were filled with their own struggles and insecurities. This opened her eyes. We're all figuring things out, and no one has it all together. Letting go of comparison allowed her to build a life that felt authentic, not performative, a life where she no longer felt like she had to catch up, but where she could breathe, trust her path, and grow at her own pace. There's also the story of a college student named Marco, who constantly compared himself to his classmates. Some were earning perfect grades, others were getting internships at big companies, and he felt like no matter how hard he tried, he was always falling short. It started affecting his mental health, and he began to withdraw from his social circle, afraid of being seen as less successful. One of his professors noticed the change in his attitude and shared a personal story of failure, how they had been rejected from dozens of jobs before finding their path. That vulnerability broke something open for Marco. He started talking to others and found that everyone had doubts and setbacks, even those who looked the most put together. He began to understand that comparison was blinding him to his own strengths. His creativity, his kindness, his unique voice. By focusing on what made him come alive instead of what made others look successful, Marco rediscovered confidence and purpose. He started a small passion project that later turned into a meaningful career, not because he was trying to impress others, but because he was finally aligned with himself. These real stories show that letting go of comparison isn't about pretending you don't care or avoiding ambition. It's about shifting your focus inward, reconnecting with what matters to you, embracing your unique timeline, and celebrating progress instead of perfection. It means understanding that someone else's success doesn't take anything away from yours, and that your journey is valid, even if it looks different. When people let go of comparison, they don't lose their motivation. They find it in a deeper, more grounded place. They become more compassionate, more peaceful, and more empowered to live a life that's true to who they are, not who they think they should be. And that is where real freedom begins. 10. How to stay focused on your own path. Staying focused on your own path in a world full of distractions, noise, and constant comparison is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. It means committing to your goals, values, and personal growth, even when it feels like everyone around you is moving faster, doing more, or living a completely different kind of life. The first step to staying focused is getting clear about what matters to you. What are your values? What kind of life do you want to live? Not what's trending, not what's expected, but what feels meaningful to you. When you define your personal vision, your actions start to have direction, and you're less likely to be pulled off course by what others are doing. For example, if you know that peace, creativity, and deep relationships are important to you, you'll make different choices than someone whose priorities are wealth, status, or adventure, and that's okay. Your path is yours because it's built around your truth. To stay focused, you also have to learn to quiet the noise. That might mean limiting time on social media, unfollowing accounts that make you feel inadequate, or being mindful of who you spend time with. Not everyone's opinion needs to shape your journey. When you constantly compare yourself to others or seek external validation, you end up chasing things that may not even fulfill you. Instead, try to tune into your inner voice, the quiet, honest part of you that knows what brings you joy, what drains your energy, and what feels like a genuine yes. One powerful practice is to regularly check in with yourself by journaling or reflecting with questions like, "Am I living in alignment with what matters to me?" Or, "Are my actions today bringing me closer to the life I want?" These small but intentional moments of reflection keep you grounded and connected to your path. Another key to staying focused is embracing the fact that progress takes time. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to feel behind when others seem to be succeeding so quickly. But real growth often happens slowly, quietly, and beneath the surface. It's the daily effort, the habits you build, the lessons you learn, and the persistence you show when no one else is watching. Comparing your beginning to someone else's middle is like judging a seed for not being a tree yet. Your journey is not a race, it's a process of becoming. Trusting your own timeline and honoring your own pace helps you stay patient and motivated even when the results aren't immediate. It's also important to celebrate small wins along the way. When you acknowledge your progress, finishing a project, showing up consistently, learning from a mistake, you reinforce your confidence and create positive momentum. These moments remind you that you're moving forward, even if the path isn't always straight. Surrounding yourself with people who support your growth, not your ego, also makes a huge difference. Find those who encourage you to be more yourself, not more like them. Share your goals, your struggles, and your wins with people who lift you up. Their encouragement can help you stay aligned with your journey during moments of doubt or discouragement. Ultimately, staying focused on your own path means living with intention. It's choosing every day to be faithful to your own story, your own lessons, and your own dreams. Even when it feels uncertain or messy, it means letting go of the pressure to prove yourself and embracing the quiet power of persistence. You might not always feel like you're ahead, but if you are growing, learning, and staying true to yourself, you are exactly where you need to be. The path may not look like anyone else's, but that's because it's meant for you. And that makes it not only worthy, but extraordinary. 11. Encouragement and daily reminders. Encouragement and daily reminders are like gentle anchors that keep your heart steady and your mind focused when life feels overwhelming, uncertain, or discouraging. In a world that often demands perfection and constant achievement, it's easy to forget your worth, your progress, and the deeper reasons behind your efforts. That's why building the habit of encouraging yourself, just like you would support a friend, is essential to staying motivated and emotionally strong. Encouragement isn't about ignoring struggles or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging your challenges while still believing in your ability to grow through them. It's the quiet voice that says, "You've made it through hard things before, and you can do it again." Or, "You don't have to do it all today. Just take the next step." Even small positive messages repeated each day can reshape how you view yourself and your journey. Daily reminders act like emotional vitamins. They feed your mind with truth and perspective so you don't lose sight of what really matters. These can be short affirmations, quotes, journal notes, or intentions that bring you back to your center. For example, reminders like, "Progress, not perfection. I am allowed to rest. Comparison steals joy," or "My worth is not defined by productivity" might seem simple, but over time they rewire your inner dialogue. You begin to replace self-doubt with self-compassion, fear with faith, and burnout with balance. These reminders become your emotional toolkit, ready to support you in moments of stress, fatigue, or insecurity. They help you pause, breathe, and reconnect with your values and purpose, especially when life pulls you in 100 directions. You can place these reminders where you'll see them every day, on sticky notes by your mirror, as phone wallpapers, written in a planner, or set as alerts on your device. Some people create encouragement jars filled with handwritten notes to pull from when they're feeling low. Others use journaling each morning or evening as a moment to reflect and reset. The key is consistency. Just like physical health is strengthened by regular movement and nutrition, emotional resilience is strengthened by small daily practices that affirm who you are and what you're capable of. Encouragement also grows when shared. Don't wait for the right time to encourage someone else or yourself. A kind word, a reminder that they're not alone, or simply saying, "I see how hard you're trying," can mean more than you know. And the beautiful part is, when you offer encouragement to others, you often receive it too. You begin to see that everyone is carrying something, everyone needs hope, and everyone, including you, is worthy of kindness and belief. So remember this: your journey doesn't require perfection. It requires presence, showing up for yourself day by day with patience, courage, and care. Encouragement and daily reminders are not luxuries. They are tools of survival and growth. When used regularly, they help you stay grounded in your truth, focused on your path, and connected to your deeper purpose. Even when things are hard, you are growing, you are learning, and every day you choose to keep going, even quietly, is something to be proud of. 12 final thoughts. Embrace your journey. At the end of the day, one of the most powerful and freeing decisions you can make is to fully embrace your own journey. With all its highs and lows, twists and turns, victories and lessons. Life is not a straight path, nor is it a competition or a race with others. It's a deeply personal, evolving experience that unfolds at its own pace and in its own way for each of us. Embracing your journey means choosing to stop wishing your life looked like someone else's and instead leaning into the uniqueness of your own path. It's about honoring where you've been, accepting where you are now, and believing in where you're headed, even if you can't see the whole picture yet. Your experiences, your struggles, your growth, they all carry meaning. Every setback has shaped your resilience. Every delay has deepened your patience. Every triumph, no matter how small, is evidence that you're still moving forward. When you embrace your journey, you stop waiting for a perfect version of life to begin and start living with intention right now. You begin to see the value in the process itself, not just the outcomes. You understand that growth isn't always visible or loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet. Decisions you make every day to show up, keep going, or try again. It's in the way you get back up after failure, how you speak to yourself in hard times, and the courage it takes to be authentically you in a world that often tells you to be someone else. Embracing your journey also means letting go of the pressure to have it all figured out. No one has all the answers. We're all learning as we go, stumbling, adjusting, and evolving, and that's okay. That's normal. Life isn't about reaching some final destination where everything is perfect. It's about becoming, growing into the person you were always meant to be, one step, one day, one choice at a time. So give yourself grace. Celebrate how far you've come, even if you're not yet where you want to be. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply living a life that is real, honest, and uniquely yours. Embrace the seasons of waiting, the chapters of change, the lessons that came through difficulty, and the moments of joy that remind you why it's all worth it. The journey may not always make sense in the moment, but when you look back, you'll see how each piece mattered. Trust that. Trust yourself. You are already enough. Not when you achieve more, not when you become someone else, but right now, just as you are. Embracing your journey is not just about acceptance. It's about empowerment. It's about walking your path with confidence, heart, and hope, knowing that your story matters and that the best is still unfolding,